Did you watch your own funeral? Choose your parents from above? Hundreds of children remember things before they were born. How? A 4-year-old boy once told his mom, "I saw you cry at that restaurant before I was even born." He shouldn't have known, but it was true. Is it possible that our consciousness remembers things before we even have a body? For decades, hundreds of children around the world have shared something extraordinary. Detailed accounts of what they experienced after death and before being born. Researchers like Ian Stevenson, Jim Tucker, and Masayuki Ohkado have collected thousands of these cases across different cultures. They are not dreams, they are memories. Memories that match verified facts, witnesses, and documents. Some children recall watching their own funerals. Others describe choosing their parents from a high, elevated place. Some even remember the exact moment they entered their new body inside the womb. And although each story is unique, they all seem to follow a pattern, a 5-stage cycle that consciousness appears to pass through between lives. In this documentary, we'll uncover those 5 stages of existence, from the moment of death through a bodiless state, all the way to rebirth. It's all based on real studies and on testimonies too powerful to dismiss. What if you've also been through all of this? What if you forgot because you were supposed to? Get ready. This might change the way you see life and death. In this documentary, we'll explore each of these 5 stages through real, verified, deeply human stories. Because maybe, just maybe, what happens between lives is the key to understanding who we truly are. Stage 1, transition after death. The first moment after death is not silence, but a sudden awareness, a separation. As if you're floating outside your body, not quite understanding what just happened. According to hundreds of testimonies, stage 1 of the intermission begins the instant the soul detaches from the physical body. What happens next varies, but one thing remains constant. Most describe being conscious, observing everything from above. Many children say they saw their parents crying. Some witnessed doctors trying to revive them. Others recall, with striking detail, their own funeral. In Sri Lanka, a girl named Disna Samarisinghe said she was buried near an anthill. Investigators dug at the exact spot she mentioned and found an unmarked grave. No headstone, only her word and the earth. In Alaska, a Tlingit boy said he floated above his body as it was carried in a funeral canoe. He described not only the river, but also the clothes worn by people he had never met in his current life. Ratana Wongsambat in Thailand remembered her ashes being scattered under a sacred tree, against the wishes she had expressed to her daughter in a previous life. When confronted, the daughter admitted she hadn't buried her by the tree as promised. Another Thai individual, Pratamwan Inthanu, recalled her infant body was buried outside the village cemetery, against tradition. Only the undertaker knew this, and he confirmed it when confronted by Pratamwan. These memories are anchored to the material world. The spirit doesn't vanish. It stays. It watches, it listens. It tries to speak, but no one responds. Kayao, a young Thai boy, died of cholera. For days, he wandered through his village. He saw his friends, tried to greet them, until one day, during a ceremony at his home, he understood. He no longer belonged to that world. Stage 1 may last minutes or hours. In some cases, even days. It ends when the soul moves away from the place of death. Sometimes it leaves on its own. Other times, something or someone guides it. There are cases where the soul follows a living person, and that single act triggers reincarnation. In India, a boy recalled dying of the plague. His body was thrown into a river. From there, he saw a woman bathing. He followed her, without knowing why, and later was born as her son. In Burma, Mong Kalar remembered being an Indian soldier with the British Army in Burma in the 1940s. He and a group of his fellows were set upon and murdered by villagers, after which, he said, his father had come and carted their bodies away, dumping them off a cliff. He followed his father home and was reborn in his family. Kalar pointed out the place where the murders had occurred, confirmed by his father, who indeed had thrown the bodies off a cliff after carting them off. How could a child know that? Stage 1 is only the beginning. But even here, logic begins to fall short. Stage 2, disembodied existence. Once the soul leaves the body, it doesn't vanish. It enters a new phase, a formless state, without a body, yet filled with awareness. This is stage 2 of the intermission, one of the most mysterious, profound, and hardest to describe. In the study by Matlock and Peterson, 78% of children who remembered past lives also described this stage. Many call it the other side, but not everyone experiences it the same way. Some say it felt like floating in a soft mist. Others describe being in a garden, or under a tree, or in a vast waiting room. A Japanese boy said he was in a white room with other spirits, all waiting their turn to be born. In Thailand, Bangkuch Pramsin claimed that after being murdered, he remained as a spirit in a tree near the crime scene. Later, he went in search of his previous mother, but ended up following a stranger during a rainy day at a market. That man later became his father in this life. The account matched real events. The man had indeed been at that market, and his wife became pregnant shortly afterward. A Dutch girl told her mother, "I was with the angels in the sky, and I looked down upon the earth. I flew to the earth, walked into a house, and looked around." A girl from Sri Lanka, Purnima Ekanayake, recalled a previous life where she was hit by a large vehicle, a bus, while on her bicycle. She described floating in a semi-darkness for several days afterward. During this time, she watched people mourn and cry over her body until her funeral. She then saw a light, and the very next thing she was aware of was being in her present life. While Purnima didn't recall anything about being a spirit after her funeral, many other individuals in similar cases have described experiences from this period. In India, Veer Singh, an Indian boy, claimed that for 11 years, between his past life and this one, he lived in a peepal tree in his former family's yard. He knew details about them, like their purchase of a camel and their legal troubles. He also correctly named and later recognized 2 children born after his death. Once, annoyed by 2 women swinging from his tree, he caused their swing to break. Veer also said he would follow family members who went out alone. This matched a dream his previous mother had, where her deceased son told her he was accompanying another son when he went out at night. Spirits in this stage seem to retain some influence over the physical world. In Italy, Alexandrina Simona died young. After her death, her mother dreamt of her, and the entire family heard strange knocks in the house, and she communicated with them through a medium. Others report encounters with luminous beings, wise elders, or guiding presences. In Western accounts, they're often seen as angels or religious figures. In Asia, they appear as white-robed elders or spiritual guardians. Many describe being received, guided, or silently watched. In Thailand, Ratana Wongsambat said she ascended to heaven, but returned briefly to retrieve something she had forgotten. An Indian girl, Pratima Saxena, said that she went up after she died, but whenever her previous son needed her, she came down to help him. Some say they spent time in halls of reflection, reviewing their past life. Kazuya, a Japanese boy who said he had died by taking his own life, remembered he had spent some time in a reflection room before deciding to be reborn to his former mother. An English boy named Stephen Ramsay said that he had been employed in a large library, where he was directed to put all the new bits into the books. He had elected to work, but one was not required to work in heaven. Before reincarnating, some were offered a fruit or a drink. If you accept it, you forget everything, like the river Lethe in Greek mythology. But some took it and still remembered. Are these images symbolic or actual access to a realm we have yet to understand? One thing is certain, stage 2 is not a void. It's a conscious pause, an interlude filled with purpose, a time outside of time, where perhaps we choose what comes next. Stage 3, choosing the parents. At some point along the journey, the soul must make a decision, or at least accept an invitation. This marks the beginning of stage 3 in the intermission, the selection of one's future parents. Not everyone remembers this moment, but in studies by Sharma, Tucker, Matlock, and Giesler-Peterson, nearly half of the children interviewed said they saw their future parents before birth. Some observed them from above, others from a kind of higher plane or spiritual room. In Japan, a boy claimed to have been in a room where several family options were presented. He chose his current parents because their energy felt warm and familiar. A Dutch boy said that after he died, he had been met by an angel who had taken him to God. He had stayed with God for a while, then angels had urged him to reincarnate. When he resisted, they assured him that they would stand by him. In India, one child said that after dying, his spirit rested in a tree by a river. One day, he saw a woman bathing and felt an immediate connection. He followed her, and she became his mother. This phenomenon has been described as a geographic factor. The soul chooses based on what it sees near the location of its death. But often, the choice is emotional, not logical. James Leininger, in the United States, remembered being a fighter pilot in World War II. He said he saw his parents on a beach in Hawaii before being born. He even described a pink hotel where they stayed, 11 months before his birth. In Japan, Katsugoro said that after dying from smallpox, he was guided by an elderly man to an unfamiliar house. When he arrived, he knew that's where he would live again. A Burmese girl named Ma Par recalled being a British officer aboard a reconnaissance plane that ran out of fuel and crashed in Burma during World War II. She thought of England and found herself there, but the King of Death forced her to return to Burma. Later, she went to England a second time, but again was pulled back to Burma and told she would have to be reborn there, although the choice of family was left up to her. Jasper believes he chose his current mother because she was also his mother in a past life. He also mentioned that everyone has duties to complete during their lives on Earth. Sometimes, the same duty might be given to multiple people, and these duties can be important for the whole community, not just for individual goals. For some, this stage is a quest. For others, a calling, whether guided by love, fate, or purpose. The selection of parents appears to be one of the soul's most profound acts before returning, because every new life begins with a return. Stage 4, life in the womb. After choosing or being assigned to its parents, the soul enters a new body, and so begins stage 4 of the intermission, life in the womb. As impossible as it may sound, some children say they remember this stage, not as a dream, but as a lucid experience from inside the mother's womb. Here are more accessible versions of those stories. Thiang Sankla's journey. Thiang Sankla described seeing his own body after he died. He wanted to go back into it, but too many people were around, so he was scared. He visited his friends and family, but none of them could see him. He tried to return to his previous mother, but she rejected him because she was too old to have more children. So he went to his younger brother's wife and entered her body through her mouth. He said that even while he was in her womb, he would move in and out of her mouth. Ryan Hammond's Heavenly Choice. Ryan Hammonds said that after he died, he first went to a waiting place before going to heaven. From heaven, he saw his future parents and chose his mother, whom he had known in an earlier life. He then asked his mother why she had wanted him to be a girl. When she asked how he knew that, he explained he had seen it from heaven. It turned out a doctor had told her she was having a boy, which upset her so much she cried for a long time during his father's birthday dinner at a restaurant. His mother had regretted her reaction that night and never talked about it, but Ryan's detailed account was completely accurate. William's levels of heaven. Another boy named William claimed he died on a Thursday and went to heaven, where he saw animals and spoke to God. He told God he was ready to come back and was then born on a Tuesday. William explained that when you die, you don't go right to heaven. You go to different levels, here, then here, then here, moving his hand upwards to show different stages. He also believed that both animals and people are reborn. It's true that William was born on a Tuesday, and his grandfather, whom he was thought to be, had indeed died on a Thursday. When William saw a picture of his mother while she was pregnant, he remarked that when he was in her tummy, she always held it when she ran up the stairs. When asked how he knew, he simply said he had been watching her. Some memories are purely sensory, smells, sounds, emotions. Others, like Bobby Hodges's, are strikingly detailed. Bobby described his birth by C-section with precision. He said he felt them trying to turn him, but not understanding what was happening, he thought they were pushing him away, not letting him be born. Then he saw a light, felt himself being cleaned, and finally, he could rest. For many parents, hearing these stories feels like reliving moments they thought were private. How do these children know? How can they remember? There's no definitive answer, but their words align with emotional realities they were never supposed to know. Stage 5, birth and first moments. The most awaited moment can also be the most shocking. Stage 5 of the intermission marks the soul's final passage, birth and the first moments of life. For most, this stage brings about the great forgetting, the point where spiritual memories fade away. But some children still remember. Bobby Hodges in the United States said that before being born, he had spent time in his aunt's womb. That life was lost, but he didn't give up. He recalled watching his parents' wedding from above, knowing that his mother was already pregnant. He was later born via cesarean section. He remembered the blinding light, the discomfort of being pushed, and the doctor's attempts to turn him. I thought they were trying to stop my birth, he said. If I had understood, I would have turned myself. He also recalled the warmth of the bed where they laid him, and the peace he felt when he fell asleep for the first time. Other children described muffled sounds, familiar voices, the smell of the hospital, or the sensation of being held for the first time. One child said, "When my mother held me, I knew everything would be okay." These memories, though brief, are intense, and always tied to a moment of love or fear, as if the soul knew it was crossing a final threshold. Why do some retain these memories, while others don't? Could it be that we all experience them, but forget, just so we can fully adapt to this new life? So, what does all this mean? We've seen documented cases, children sharing impossible memories they shouldn't know, and patterns that defy simple coincidence. It's especially fascinating because a young child's brain isn't even fully developed to process and store complex memories like these. Beyond what we know, this isn't just spiritual talk. It points to something profound, the idea that our consciousness doesn't just end with our body. It suggests a possible intermission, a space between lives. Think of it as a transition, a cycle, a preparation to return. Across cultures, the story's core structure remains the same: death, disorientation, disembodied existence, selection, incarnation. Did you choose this life? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Perhaps we didn't just stumble into this life by chance. Maybe, just maybe, you chose this life too. And in that forgotten journey, something left a trace within you, that feeling of a place that's strangely familiar. A face you feel like you've seen before. A mission that drives you, even if you don't fully understand it. If any of this is real, then we're not just living. We're remembering who we are. We're part of something much larger, more ancient, and wiser than we can often grasp. If this video sparked a thought or a feeling in you, please share it. Hit that subscribe button and tell us your own story in the comments below. Because what comes after death might just be another way of returning to the beginning. And truly understanding that, that's the start of truly living.